Welcome to My Decadent Life. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you don't know me already, my name is Jennifer and I'm a hairdresser and I have done makeup professionally in the past, although I don't do it on anybody anymore except for myself. I wanted to do a series focusing on some of the foundations of makeup, forgive the pun, starting today with primer. Primer is an interesting thing. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's totally up to you, but I use it and I wanted to talk a little bit about my favorite primers and show you applying a primer, and we're going to do that right now. So foundation primers seem to be a little bit of a polarizing topic, or product I should say. I do sometimes like to wear primers, but I don't make it, it's not like an everyday has to happen occurrence. I find that a lot of times the sunscreen I use works great as a primer. I'm going to touch on that as well. But there are times when I like to add a primer and reasons why I choose the ones I use. I have several things I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to show you the one that I would have to say if I had to pick a favorite out of the primers that I have, which one is my favorite. And I have 4 primers that I would consider traditional real deal primers, and then I have several products that I think work well as a primer, but they're not technically marketed that way. So let's do this right now. But I'm going to talk a little bit first about the Juice Beauty one. This is the one I'm going to put on right away. I'm just going to put a pump on the back of my hand. I always enjoy the smell of this. It smells very subtle, like a tiny bit floral and a little bit sweet, but this does not contain any, I have it pulled up right here. So Juice Beauty formulates without parabens, petroleum, propylene, or butylene glycol, sodium lauryl sulfates, pesticides, phthalates, artificial dyes, or fragrances, and they are cruelty-free. So what I like about this is how lightweight the product is and how easy it smooths on. I love that it gives an illuminating glow without looking greasy or sweaty. Every once in a while I see that and I'm like, oh, not sure that that look would work for me. I love looking hydrated and youthful, but I don't want to look sweaty. And that happens sometimes, I think. So you can see once I put this on, I feel like you can see that I have just a little bit more of an illumination, but it really melts right into the skin. Even on top of sunscreen, that has its own texture to it, that it like leaves a little bit of a texture to the skin. I find that this primer actually helps to neutralize that feeling. So if I'm going to wear it over the top of my Beautycounter Counter Sun Daily Sheer Defense, this does leave a little bit more of a slippery feeling on my skin, which some people might really like for a primer. This almost tones that feeling down and gives you just a really hydrated, kind of like plumped effect without being too slippery. On the same vein, I have the Pacifica Crystal Primer. This is their Powered Up Illuminating and Perfecting Primer. I should double check if this is even still available, because you know what Pacifica's like. So yes, the Pacifica, the Crystal Primer is still available on their website for $13. You get a fluid ounce. The Juice Beauty is also a fluid ounce. You're getting a glass package here. You're getting a plastic package here. $13 and $36. It's a pretty big difference. But I have to tell you, here's what a pump of this product looks like. And it is a nice silky, you know, sort of like a very lightweight moisturizer feeling when you rub it in. I find this scent to be quite overpowering, as I do with a lot of Pacifica products. However, if you are somebody who misses fragrance in your products, and you're looking for something that might be a little bit more natural or a little less bothersome overall, Pacifica can be a good product for you. Now this one also helps with oil control, even though it is illuminating. And now that it is rubbed into my skin, it has a very similar feeling to the Juice Beauty one. Feels like nice hydrated skin, nothing too grippy or sticky or too slippery. So these really work well for me, and I find them both to work good, again, over the top of a sunscreen that might have a little bit more of a slippery texture that I'm trying to neutralize. One thing I wanted to add is that both of those primers are silicone free. So if you're somebody trying to avoid silicones, those would be really good options for you. So the third primer I want to talk about is the Bareminerals Good Hydration's Silky Face Primer. Now I used this a ton last year when my skin was really dry. I am not that dry this year, so I haven't been using it as often. This is a little bit of a thicker consistency. I put a little bit right here on the inside of my wrist. And when I rub this in, it feels to me more like a moisturizer. It has just a little bit more of an emollient richness as opposed to almost like watery liquid texture. However, once this is rubbed in, it also feels really nice and hydrating on the skin. You don't get too much slip, even though I know it says silky. It gives your skin like a nice blurred kind of effect, but it doesn't really have any like actual illumination to it. It's just, I think, going to really even out if you're struggling with dry texture. Even on top of your moisturizer, this will work well. And as long as you're not using too much, I don't think you would have a problem layering this. So this product retails for $27. And I believe you get your standard 1 ounce. Bareminerals, they do say that this is free of synthetic fragrance, but does it have a, I mean, it has a little bit of a scent, but it's not overwhelming. It is not as strong as the Pacifica scent is. And Pacifica does label their scent as natural, but I do find it to be just quite strong at times, where this one definitely, if there is a natural fragrance added to this, or it smells just like the ingredients being used, that is what it smells like to me, just like whatever's in the product. So if you are on the drier side and you're not as worried about wanting to be like a little bit more illuminated, this would give you a nice smooth base. However, you may find that a really great moisturizer might do the same thing. I felt like last year I needed an extra boost. My moisturizer was really like sucking in, and I just wanted a little bit more, like just one more layer just to give me that extra hydration. And I did enjoy using this, and I used quite a bit of it last year. The Bareminerals Good Hydrations is not silicone free. It does have dimethicone as its first listed ingredient, but it does not feel as slippery as some silicone primers can feel. So if you're okay with having silicone in your product, but you don't want it to be overly slippy, this one really could be a good option for you. So the next option I want to talk about is the Tatcha The Silk Canvas, and this is the smaller sized one that I have. This is formulated without parabens, synthetic fragrances, mineral oil, sulfate detergents, phthalates, urea, DEA, or TEA. It does have a scent though, which I find to be quite pleasant and fairly mild, but definitely noticeable. Like you won't miss it like I almost missed the scent in the Good Hydrations one. This is recommended for all skin types and an uneven texture, fine lines and wrinkles and pores. It is like a balm, almost like a, not a putty. It doesn't have too much tack when you're doing this. It feels more creamy. So almost like, oh, do I have a eyelash stuck in there? It has like a really creamy texture to it. And I find this to feel a lot like what I would consider a typical primer. It does say that it has a little bit of pink and gold pearl to help even skin tone for a healthy look. However, when I apply it on my skin, I don't really notice that. I don't know that I really noticed it on my face. Should we put a little bit on my face? Like if I were to put, when I use this, I'd like to use it right there. Oh, maybe I do feel a little bit more illuminated. Okay, I shouldn't say illuminated. I feel a little more blurred. I feel a little bit more blurred, but it still has a luminosity to it. So that pearl really does kind of work. I do find that like I don't pick a lot of product up. Like when I get it on my finger, I just think that where a little usually goes a long way, I find that I end up dipping a little bit more into this, which is no problem, because then I can just pinpoint my application a little bit more. And this isn't a primer that I would really like pull all the way back on my face. This is something I really only use kind of to like highlight the center of my face. So this primer also has silicones in it, and if you are familiar with what that feels like, it does feel like it has silicones in it. However, I don't find it to be overly slippery once it's on the skin. I think it actually has a little bit more of a grip to it, which is kind of strange because when you're rubbing your finger in it, it seems like it's so creamy, but once it's on and it's kind of in place, I find it to be a little gripping. And Tatcha is also cruelty-free. So the next primer we're talking about is the Filtered Effects Blurring Primer Color Grip Technology from Thrive Causemetics. And I have to just say, every time I try to read this, I always want to say Buttered Effects. I swear it seems like it says Buttered Effects. If I put a little bit on the back of my hand, this is what I consider to be like the truest form of an original style silicone-based primer that I used to use years and years and years ago. A little goes a long way. It is very emollient. Definitely feels like it's going to create a barrier between your skin and your makeup. And that is one reason why people may choose to use a primer. Tatcha talks about that as well. Creating a barrier so that if you are sensitive to a foundation, the primer could possibly act like a little bit of a buffer. I don't know if you can tell how blurred it makes the skin look, but I do feel very blurred when I wear this primer. They do say that it is like an HD effect, and the color grip technology bonds to makeup and controls oil, creating a perfect canvas for makeup that looks fresh and doesn't slide or budge all day. I've had good luck with this. However, it does have that much more slippery feeling to it. So if you want to avoid that slipperiness, because you find that maybe it does break your makeup down a little bit more, then this might not be the product for you. I know that I put that Juice Beauty one on, but I just kind of want to show you on my nose because that is where I have my biggest amount of pores and my most discoloration. And I don't know if you'll really be able to see, but I think that it does have a nice blurred effect when you use it. Now, Thrive just came out with Illuminating Primer. I swear they launched it like a couple weeks after this one, and I was like, I should have waited for that one because, like I was saying, I prefer an illuminating primer that isn't as silicone-y most of the time, but I still have enjoyed using this product. So, Thrive Causemetics is 100% vegan and cruelty-free, formulated without parabens, phthalates, sulfates, and synthetic fragrance. For every primer you purchase, we donate to help a woman thrive. So that is one of the things I love about Thrive Causemetics is how much they give back, and they are very transparent about the things that they do. They do these like giving events, which I think is really neat, and I think that the company itself is phenomenal, and I think that the founder is genuinely a beautiful person, beautiful soul, beautiful person. So I really enjoy Thrive Causemetics and love to purchase products from them, and the products that I like from them I really love to share with other people. This one retails for $35. I forgot to talk about what the Tatcha one retails for. Let me see if I can pull that up quick. So the full size of the Tatcha is $52. That's pretty expensive. And the travel size is $22. So the full size for $52 of the Tatcha is 20 grams, 0.7 ounces for 52 bucks. That is expensive. And the travel size retails for $22, and that is at 7 grams or 0.24 ounces. So that one definitely comes in at the most expensive of the list. So those were all of the products that I have that are considered a true primer. Now I want to talk about the Beautycounter Counter Control Matte Effect Gel Cream, because a few years ago when I was pregnant with my little Odessa, I was so oily for a while, and I used this as a primer all the time with her. It has a very primer-esque look to it, And same kind of thing goes on, like a very like jelly kind of moisturizing gel cream. Those are the words I'm trying to use. A little goes a long way, but this does have cornstarch in it. So as you rub it in, it does kind of start to have like a really good dry down and a really nice mattifying effect. I know you can't really tell on my arm, but this will keep somebody matte for a very long time. And if you do not wear foundation, but you still want to take down the shine on your face without having to use powder or something else, this would be a really good product. You get 1.7 fluid ounces for $39. So a little bit more on the expensive side, but you're getting almost double the product in that sense. You still get a bunch of hydration without shine. So if you're needing a product that is really going to help control oil, this would be a great option for you. Once it dries down, there's really no slipperiness. It just feels really good, like hydrated skin. And I find that makeup goes over well on top of it. However, because there's cornstarch in it, I think you have to be a little bit more careful how you apply with the rest of your skincare, because you could get a little pilling or balling up, and nobody likes that. So I like to give this a little bit of time to almost like dry down before I go in with a foundation over the top of it. As far as the scent in the Beautycounter Counter Control Matte Effect, it's like a very clean, very soft, subtle. They typically don't add fragrance to their products, so it usually ends up being just the smell that it is. Beautycounter is also cruelty free, and if you don't know, I am a Beautycounter consultant. I always want to be transparent about that. Beautycounter is cruelty free, and they also formulate without like all of those big, you know, like phthalate, paraben type ingredients. In fact, they have, I believe, over 1,500 ingredients that they avoid. So, oh, I got something on my hands. So one other thing I do often just do is let my sunscreen be my primer. So I have super good luck with these two. This is the 11 Unrivaled Sun Serum SPF 35 from 11 by Venus, sold at Credo. And this is the Beautycounter Counter Sun Daily Sheer Defense. I have a whole video on these two, so I'm not going to talk too much about how they feel, but this one gives you a very velvety, kind of plush feeling on your skin, and this just gives a really nice sheer, hydrated, glowing kind of effect. I also find that these both pair well underneath primers or without another primer under foundation. I find this one to work really well underneath the Kosas tinted face oil. And this one I have been using underneath like the Exa Beauty Foundation and the Beautycounter Skin Twin Foundation. And since neither of these leave a white cast or a really thick, unworkable feeling behind, they're really good duo options. So some people and some products really like to talk about using like a facial oil to almost prime your face for foundation. I believe the Kjaer Weis cream foundation that you would have in the pan, a lot of people say that they need to prep their skin with an oil. And this is the Ritual Day Feet oil. This is the Thorn Oil Facial Elixir. This is a beautiful oil. It does have a little bit of a rose scent. I don't typically wear an oil on my face every day. I have experimented with it. I've really you know, kind of gone round and around if that is something I feel like I needed in my skincare routine or not. And I just don't know that I am an oil wearer during the day. I don't think my skin is that dry, and I think that the oil ends up kind of breaking the product down. But for a cream foundation that might be a little bit more on the dry side, if you want to make that work and you're struggling to, trying an oil like this underneath it might be what makes the difference for you. I just don't find that I want to work that hard for a product to work. I did try the Kjaer Weis cream foundation, and that was when my skin was really dry. I really need to give it another try and see if it would work better for me now the way my skin is now. I just wanted to mention that some people have good luck with that, but I feel like I use oil to take my makeup off, so I struggle to want to really use like just a full-on oil underneath my foundation unless my skin is feeling really, really dry at the time. So a product that I love to use as a primer or with primers that isn't technically a primer are the Ilia Liquid Light Serum Highlights. These are beautiful to mix in if you want more illumination or if you just want to add a little extra sparkle underneath if you're wearing a more lightweight sheer foundation, just to let that kind of shine through. These are both gorgeous mixed in with the Juice Beauty. It just gives it a little extra glow, shimmer, luminosity, whatever you want to say. However, you really want to be ready for it because these do truly have like a real finish to them. So just a little dabble do ya mixed in. It works out really great if you're wanting to really like add that glow underneath your foundation. Typically you can use these on the high points of your cheeks after you have your foundation on. So one more not so primer kind of priming situation is to use a facial mist before you apply your foundation. If I have been up for a while before I put my makeup on, I might find that my skin feels like it's really absorbed all of my skincare and it isn't as hydrated feeling or as maybe kind of plump as I'd like it to be. And just doing a nice facial mist can really kind of prep your skin again. I won't put the foundation on while my face is wet, but I give it just a little enough, little enough time for that product to kind of absorb and dry off, leave my skin feeling really hydrated, and then I go in with my foundation, and it just seems to give it just a little extra oomph or boost that it might need without having to, apply another actual layer of like a gel or cream kind of product to my face. So that's just kind of like one little sort of tip or hack. I know that a lot of people do that. It's not anything that you probably haven't heard. I really like this one from DoubleTree. I do have a 10% off code for this, so I will link that. But this one has like a really nice texture to it. It's like a little bit thicker. You can kind of see in the container, it's just a little bit thicker. It's not as watery, so it really leaves a nice hydrated feeling behind. You don't feel like it all just dissipates and takes the moisture from your face with it as it dries. It really does a good job holding the moisture to your skin. It does have a little bit of witch hazel in it as well, so I think that that actually does do a good job to keep your face from getting too oily throughout the day also. So it's kind of a win-win product for me, and I really do enjoy this product. The scent is subtle. It has a rose kind of smell, but from somebody who doesn't love roses, I do not mind how this is scented. Okay, and the last product I want to talk about is the Suntegrity Natural Moisturizing Face Sunscreen and Primer. Oh, this is such a bummer. This product is such a bummer. So I have the Suntegrity Impeccable Skin. I actually tried several different samples from this company and then chose to purchase this product because I liked the sample so much. But man, when I got the full size, I do not know what happened. This is nowhere near enough to be sunscreen for your face. Again, back to all the sunscreen controversy. I think you need whatever it is, like the CM2, the monograph, however condensed it is per whatever milligram of product. You really would need to use quite a bit of this product, and it does not ever rub in. Like, it never rubs in. I just could keep spreading and spreading and spreading, and I find that's what I was doing with my face, and it just left this horrible white cast behind. Now, when I had used the sample, it did not do that. So I did reach out to the company, and I don't believe I ever got an answer back. I should check into that. I asked if they reformulated. I asked if there was just like a fluke that maybe there was something different about the sample size that I got. I wondered if maybe I just used less product because it was a sample size, so like my relative comparison was off. I don't know the answer. Obviously, I could keep rubbing that in, but it just never rubs in all the way. So this is marketed as a sunscreen makeup primer, and I just do not feel like I could recommend this. I wish that they would kind of let us know. I mean, are people using this and liking this? If you're using this and liking this, I want you to really let me know what you think in the comments, what you think might be going on with this one I have, because I mean, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. And this one even has like 2 layers of primer on it. So I have been meaning to do like an updated like products I'm not liking video, but I did want to just include this in here today because I do have this and it is marketed as a primer. Suntegrity is great when it comes to like what they're doing for sunscreen and sunscreen awareness. They just came out with some really nice looking sunscreen lip glosses. But the one thing I do have to say about Suntegrity that is hard for me to swallow is their shade range is like abysmal. It is, I think, like 6 or maybe 8. And if a company has very dark to very light and the gradient is there and they only have 8 shades, that to me still feels better than if you just have like a small amount of shades that are all light leaning. And I do have pretty good luck with their tinted Impeccable Skin. I do like that one, but I probably won't talk about it very much or recommend it just because there isn't a shade for virtually most people. So that just doesn't feel good, and I will just probably avoid that until they do better with that shade range. So in conclusion, you get to decide whether you think that primer under your foundation is worth it or not. But I have found through pregnancies and breastfeeding and hormonal changes that there are times when I need just a little extra help, and it's good having something that I can rely on, like a mattifying primer or a blurring primer if I'm feeling like I'm breaking out a little bit more, or if I just really want to glow to have a little bit more luminosity. And I really like you know, the texture some of them leave behind, and to me that makes the experience of applying my makeup all that much better. Whether or not the primer actually makes my foundation last longer, I usually leave that up to the foundation itself. I don't want to make the primer have to do all the heavy lifting. I think that that needs to really be the foundation's job. But I do enjoy getting to sort of curate how I want my look to go, and based on what kind of day I might have at the salon, or if I'm at home, or if I'm running errands, I may choose something that might be a little bit more mattifying for the day, or something that might be a little bit more hydrating, depending on right now our weather is changing as well, so that really makes a difference too. So there's definitely lots of different reasons why your skin type may, you know, enjoy a certain kind of primer, and I hope that discussing a few of these options today maybe helped you to decide if there's something you wanted to try. And as always, I will link everything down below in the description box. So here is my completed look. There's a lot of videos that I filmed getting to the end of this today, but thank you so much for joining me for this primer video. There was a lot of information, I know, but I feel like this is a product that gets really overlooked, and it kind of gets like the short end of the stick a lot of the time. So I really wanted to focus on why you might use a primer, why I might choose to use a primer, what makes them different, and what might make them work well for us. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would love it if you subscribe to stick around. I have more videos coming in this series, and I would love to see you in the next one. So thank you so much, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.